What up, Hyperchange? Welcome to another episode. Tesla's Q2 deliveries are hot off the press. We're going to run through the numbers and talk about the implications of this report. So every quarter, Tesla hits us up with, I think, the most important strategic numbers of their business. How many cars did they actually sell? You're going to read all these headlines about catching fire, the plaid not working, all this BS in the media, but all that really matters is how many cars did they sell. And as you can see, this was by far another record quarter for Tesla, up more than 100% year over year. The company delivered 201,250 cars, production of 206,000. So now production and deliveries both over an 800,000 vehicle year run rate. I would say this million vehicle run rate that we're getting close to is just starting. And if we dive into the numbers, I think what's really interesting to highlight first is that massive year over year growth. Tesla, despite the fact that this crazy weird economy is happening, and granted in Q2 last year, we were in the middle of the pandemic. So they were sales were hurt by that. So I think the year over year growth is a little bit exaggerated because of this weak comp. But still, despite that, we've had more than a doubling of production. And you think about these other vehicle makers like Ford delivering about 450,000 cars in the quarter. Tesla's rapidly catching up to the scale of these massive automakers and already having higher profit margins. So the trajectory is clear. Like if you just look at this chart, you can see that every single quarter Tesla's putting up incredible growth numbers. And I think we're setting up for a massive turbocharge at the end of the year, because if we zoom into these numbers and take out Model S and X, you can see that Model Y sales have been booming. And if we just zoom on Model S and X, you can see that they have been really hit with the whole plaid refresh in Q1. They basically stopped it and stopped making these cars. We're switching to the plaid model. Now the plaid models came out. Of course, classic Tesla style, a little bit of delays. They just squeezed some deliveries into this quarter, but as you can see, even the total of Model S and X was under 2,000 units. And so now this is going to turbocharge. They just figured out the plaid. They're just getting this production off the ground. In the long run, as you can see, Tesla is delivering 25,000 units a quarter of the Model S and X. I think they can hit that and more with these new plaid variants. So now when you take a look at what's going to happen for the next couple quarters for Tesla, I mean, there's a few factors to consider. First of all, Fremont, their factory in California, almost maxed out. They're not going to be able to squeeze much production growth out of there except for that Model S and X line, which I think they can bump up from 2,000 units a quarter to 25 or 30,000 units a quarter pretty quickly before the end of the year. So that's an incremental almost 30,000 units per quarter just from getting that Model S and X line up to speed. Then you talk about Gigafactory Shanghai, which has been expanding like crazy. Model Y development and Model 3 there are booming. So the expansion from Gigafactory Shanghai expanding, I think is going to be the incremental vehicle delivery growth for the remainder of the year. Yes, they are working on Berlin. Yes, they are working on Austin. And although they are saying those factories will deliver cars by the end of the year, I think it's going to be a very tiny amount and not actually impact deliveries. But in terms of the financials, we can scroll down to look at what Tesla did in Q1 2021 when they delivered their second most cars ever, like 180,000. And you can see that the company was extremely profitable. They posted about 10.4 billion in revenue with 2.2 billion in gross profit and 594 million in operating income. So with these deliveries of about 200,000, just based on that, on a rough estimate, you're looking at 11.5, $12 billion in revenue this quarter, another record for Tesla that puts us at a 45 to 48 billion dollar revenue run rate. When you think about the valuation of this company at 600 or 700 billion, that's about 12 times sales, but this is a revenue number that's going to be up more than 100% year over year. So when I think about the valuation of Tesla from this point, looking at these vehicle deliveries with the momentum they have, I think this is super fair valuation, frankly. I think we should be worth in the mid 500, 600, 700 billion range, because this revenue stream that is 48 billion today and already producing potentially $1 billion in earnings per quarter is going to compound at potentially 50, 70, 80% year over year for the next couple years to come. I mean, it's pretty mind-boggling growth considering Tesla's building this all itself. So anyway, really bullish quarter for Tesla, another record. They're selling more cars than they ever have. They're pumping it out. It's going to lead to amazing financials in Q2. And I also wanted to say that, taking a step back, not just about Tesla, but every company, find your key KPI, key performance indicator. This is something you should scheme up. Revenue, financials, profit, articles, you can read all of that, but think about the metrics that actually tell you whether the business is healthy or not, whether they're expanding. If it's Airbnb, like how many people are renting rooms, how many nights or experiences were booked that quarter, is that increasing or decreasing? How many cars is Tesla selling? How many solar roofs did they sell? How many batteries did they sell? These are the backbones and fundamentals of the business. And when you cut through all of the noise and just see that Tesla literally quarter after quarter is posting records, that pretty much tells you all you need to know, that they're able to expand, they're able to execute, they're selling as many of these cars as they can possibly build because people love the product. And right now, it seems like Tesla's had astronomical growth. These are huge numbers, right? But this is just the beginning. By 2030, I believe Tesla wants to be selling 20 million cars a year. So right now, we're just at 800,000. We're potentially looking at a 25x increase in production over the next decade for Tesla. So this is, even though it seems like I'm getting bored talking about how Tesla hits a record quarter every single quarter, this is just going to keep happening for years and years to come. And I truly think this is one of the most blockbuster, game-changing growth stories of this decade. And we are still in the infancy of this occurring. And when you think about literally Tesla's biggest problem is they cannot sell enough cars, and they have two mega factories, Austin and Berlin, getting off the ground to meet this demand. The growth is just getting started here. I'm so excited. Let me know what y'all think of the deliveries in the comments below. And yeah, anyway, I'll see y'all next time. Peace. Almost forgot. The dopest part of this is Tesla's just taken 200,000 fossil fuel cars off the road, 800,000 cars a year. If we assume the global auto economy is selling 100 million cars a year, that 800,000 is almost 1% of vehicles. So Tesla seems like this luxury automaker, seems like it's just getting started, but literally 1% of the global vehicle market already. They're going to bring the cost down of this technology. I think this, like, I wanted to make this whole video, but I was like, wait, I forgot the feel good part of this. Like, we're hyper changing the way the auto industry works, and it's not just a tiny amount of cars that aren't making a difference. Tesla's starting to move the needle because they're scaling production so quickly, and they're forcing everybody else in the industry to do so as well. We need to be selling these 100 million cars a year. We need to be all electric so we can transition the fleet of like 1 billion vehicles to all electric as fast as possible. Tesla's making that happen, hyper changing everything. Let's go.